All right, this video is intended to introduce you to our independent reading project for fourth quarter. So when you are in 8th grade, every single quarter you have something called an independent reading project, and it's referred to as an IRP. And in 8th grade, it connects with the curriculum that you're learning in class, but you're reading your own book independently to support what you're learning at school. In 7th grade, during fourth quarter, we want to try to introduce you to kind of the pace and the level of independence that happens with your IRP. But we're going to allow you to choose any book that you want to base it on, so that it's a book that you choose to support you through your first IRP. Also, this is a way that we can encourage you to read independently while you are at home during quarantine. So this one is called a Quarantine IRP. So first, what I want you to do is find the link to the IRP over here so that you can go through the instructions with me. So pull that up right now, and it looks like this. Okay, so if you notice, it says Quarantine Independent Reading Project, or IRP, up at the top. And then it says, first, select a book or books, either fiction or nonfiction. So you can choose any book that you want to read. It says, click here to see a list of places to find free books online. I've also included that link towards the bottom of the page that you can access anytime. As reading teachers, we're adding new resources to that document all the time as we learn about more, but it's basically different organizations online that are offering free books to students during this quarantine process. Your book should be 50 to 100 pages for mild, 1 to 200 pages for medium, and 2 to 300 pages for picante. You should not and will not get credit for using a book that you've read before. The idea here is that you are independently reading a new book. Any books that are like half images, half words, like graphic novels or Diary of a Wimpy Kid or Dork Diaries or Big Nate or any of those types of books, are automatically considered mild. Please talk to me if you're not sure about what level your book would be. After you finished the book, you're going to choose one of the projects in the grid to complete. You should create either a physical project, that means something that you make with like paper or crafts or whatever, or a video, something like that, and send me a photo, send me a video, or come to office hours to show me what you've created. If we're back in school, you can just bring the project that you've made. You are also more than welcome to take pictures and put them on a Google document, or if you do something that's written, you can type it into a Google document and then just share that with me as well. So the way that students submit this might be different for each student. After you finished your independent reading book, then you are going to choose one of these 12 projects to complete based on what you've read. So we're going to go through each one so that you know your options. And we're going to jump to the bottom of the page here so that you have this information in mind while we're going through each of these 12 projects. It's due on Monday, June 1st, whether we're in school or not in school. Okay, either way, it's due Monday, June 1st. It means that you should be reading at least 100 minutes each week, as if we were doing choice reading during class, in order to complete the book and the project on time. Every project should be submitted with the title of the book and the number of pages that the book contains. So these are your 12 project options. So as we go through each one, think, is that something I would want to do or is it not? So that you can narrow down your options. So the first one is a board game. So for this one, you would create a board game that represents your book. Make sure to include quotes somewhere in your game, an explanation of the rules of your game, and paragraphs about how your book is represented through the game. Okay. The second one is a mobile. For this one, you would create a symbol mobile of your book in which you would include at least 8 symbols that represent things that happened in your story and describe each symbol with a paragraph. If you're unfamiliar with a mobile, this is what a mobile looks like. So you'd be creating a book mobile, essentially. The third one is a diorama. This is something you maybe heard about in science, or I think students have done this in Spanish class as well. So you're going to create a diorama, which is a miniature scene that is in a box. Okay, again, this is what a diorama looks like. Okay, so you'd create one of those for your book. You'd make sure to include paragraphs that explain why that particular scene was important and what parts from the story were represented by items in your scene. Okay, the next option is a comic book. So for comic book, you would write and illustrate a comic book version of the entire book. Okay, that's an awesome option that students have done in the past. Obviously, you can change it a little bit. It doesn't have to be word for word. You're going to kind of shorten it and summarize it and get kind of the main idea of the scenes, but you would create a comic book version of your book. You could create a map, which is the next option, which would detail places in your book and what happened at those places. Okay, so you again would want to make sure to include a paragraphs explaining what happened at each of those locations on the map. The next option is an essay. So you would write an essay explaining the main theme in the book. Remember, we talked about theme quite a bit with March, and you guys each presented how your theme of like education or segregation or integration or whatever was present in the book. And so those projects could help inform what you do here. So this one, you would pick a theme, and then you would include evidence in your essay explaining how that theme was visible in your book. The next option is called Quarantine, and this one is to write a script with another student and reimagine 4 of the most important scenes happening over a video call instead. So you would record the video call and act it out. So you're basically adapting what actually happened in the book and pretending that it happened during quarantine, act it out, record it, and send the recording. The next option is a magazine. So this one, you pretend that you are a writer for a magazine like People, and you are interviewing a major character from your book. You would write the transcript of your interview with the character, use visual and design elements to make it look like it would actually look in a magazine. The next option is called trash. And this one, you're going to imagine that you were to go through the trash of one of the main characters, explain what you might find and why, base your trash finds on the story and the character's actions, draw them or create an online collage of what you found. Please describe at least 10 items and give explanations for each and why you think it would be there and how it incorporates in the story, or how it connects to the story in paragraphs. Your next option is a scrapbook. So for this one, you would make a scrapbook pretending that the character actually made it, the main character from your book. So this would look like a real scrapbook. It would be complete with actual memorabilia, awards, letters, pictures, mementos, ticket stubs, report cards, whatever connects to your story. You would include the book title or the character's name on your scrapbook and then label each item. There should be at least 10 items and explain its significance. The next one is a movie adaptation. So this one would be after including the background or the gist in a paragraph of what your book was about. You would write your idea of how your book could become a movie. Which stars would play each of the characters? What would the full cast be? After listing the characters and the cast, you would write a script or a screenplay of one particular scene from your book, which should include information about like what would the lighting be? What would the camera work be? How would the characters move across the stage or across the scene? Make sure to include quotes or texts from the book in the screenplay. And then your last option is called Reader's Choice. So this one means if something that I shared doesn't seem like something you would want to do, come up with your own project. In the past, I've had students design an entire record, like a music record, and they designed the cover, all of the inside notes, and then the songs that their character would have included on this record. So you can kind of pick something that you're interested in and just run wild with it. Just make sure to check in with me first to let me know what your idea is. So that we can make sure that it is an equal amount of work to these other projects and will adequately show what you learned from the independent book that you've read. Okay, so feel free to pop into office hours if you have any questions about this. Send me an email, send me a message on Hangouts. Okay, again, it's assigned now and it's due Monday, June 1st. So you're going to want to come up with a plan of how much reading you should do each day, how far you should get in your book each week, something like that, so that you make sure you leave enough time to complete the independent reading project. And overall, the goal of these projects is to demonstrate what you've learned. So make sure that you explain the choices that you've made in each project, that it includes evidence from the text, and that it looks like you put a lot of effort into it, so that I know grading it that you've learned something from your independent book that you've read at home. And then again, this will help set you up for the IRPs that you do each quarter in 8th grade. All right. Good luck, and get in touch with me if you have any questions at all. Oh, last thing, so sorry. Make sure that even though you might be submitting this in an image or in a Google Doc or whatever, I'm going to put this IRP project on Google Classroom with a due date of June 1st. That doesn't mean that you just click submit when you're done with this sheet. There's nothing for you to do on this sheet, okay? That's just showing me that you have completed your project. I should expect an email or something like that showing me what you've accomplished. And I'm just putting it up on Google Classroom so that when you log in, you have it sitting there as a reminder that this project is due on June 1st. Okay? Awesome. Talk to you guys soon.